So if you're making a video, can you make that?
Hello people. This video is on comparing box plots and describing box plots. And it kind of reinforces how to compare distributions in general and how to describe distributions in general. We've already gone over a box plot, what a box plot is, in a different video. Here we have two box plots that show the number of people who go to a strip mall in 1 week. One's in Belmar and one's in Woodbury. And the question would be to compare the two distributions. So there's always going to be 5 things we're going to need when we're doing that. We want to be able to talk about shape. And there's 5 shapes that we want to be looking at when we go here. Negative left skew, meaning that there's a drag to the left, the smaller values to the left and it shoots up. A positive or a right skew, which is the opposite of this, it drags to the right. You can feel it, it's symmetric, boogie, 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 meaning if I put a line down the middle, whatever's on the right side looks like it's on the left side. Uniform, they're all the same value, like minions. And then bimodal means there's 2 of these, like a double humped camel. There's 2 of them, and that's 2 modes. So when we're doing this, we want to talk about shape. We want to talk about center when you're describing a distribution. We're either going to use mean or median. So far for mean, we looked at was the normal distribution, we use mean. But when we're looking at a box plot, since we already know what this is, that's the median, we're going to be talking about the center as the median for a box plot. We want to talk about spread. How far away are we from the middle? How far are the values away, the data values? For normal distribution, that's your standard deviation. Can you stop doing that, please? And for a box plot, we're looking at range, and we're looking at interquartile range, which we talked about already. Range would be the max minus the min. Make sure in a box plot, if you're doing range, you're going to include the outlier. And interquartile range is quarter 3 minus quarter 1. Quarter 3 minus quarter 1. And the last thing we need to talk about is the weirdos. Are there any outliers in a box plot? If you're looking for an outlier, it's going to be on there as a star away from the rest of the box plot. You're not going to be able to find any gaps in a box plot. We can go over that later in class. Ask me that question why if you want to know. We're not going to go over it here. So the idea is to compare the distribution. So that means we want to compare. Just like when we have the sentences asking us about a hypothesis test, we want to do name and conditions. We want to do calculation, hypothesis, and conclusion. We have to do those 4 things whenever we have a hypothesis test question. Whenever we have a describe the distribution question or a compare the distributions question, we need to talk about shape, center, spread, weirdos, and it has to be in context. So for box plots, however, when we talk about shape, we can't. And again, that's going to be in a different lesson. But know for now, when you're answering this question, we don't need shape for box plots. So we're going to start with the center. And for the center, since we have the median, we're going to use the median. Make sure you compare the 2 distributions, do not list them. The reason why a lot of people go from e's to partials on these questions is they list all the things for the Belmar distribution, then they'll list everything for Woodbury, but there's no comparisons. So what do I mean by comparison? The median for Belmar is higher than the median for Woodbury. Median for Belmar at approximately 230 is higher than the median for Woodbury at approximately 190. So there's your comparison. We're saying that this one's bigger than the other. I'm saying approximately because I don't know that it's 230, it just kind of looks like it. Try not to ever say specifically that the median is this. They take off for that unless you know that it really is that. So that's the first part for center. The next thing we need to talk about is spread. So the spread would either be standard deviation, interquartile range, or range. For box plots, we're going to use interquartile range. For Belmar, at 110, approximately 290 minus 180, 290 minus 180, is slightly smaller. The IQR, sorry, I forgot. The IQR for Belmar is slightly smaller than, here's my comparison where it's slightly smaller than the IQR for Woodbury at approximately 140, which is approximately 300 minus 160. So we didn't have to do shape, we did center, we did spread. Outliers. Don't just tell me about the one set of outliers. Tell me there's not any for the other. There is one outlier at around 80 feet for the Belmar, and there are no 80 people, sorry, for Belmar, and there's no outliers for Woodbury. So we have to talk about both of them. And the last thing is context, which we haven't talked about yet. We have to tell them these distributions show, and it's very simple with context, they tell us the number of people who go to strip malls in 1 week in Belmar and in Woodbury. The number of people who go to strip malls